Nagelsmann, Tuchel, Flick and Klopp. Many of the best coaches in the world have their roots in the Bundesliga. No country has produced more FIFA Coaches of the Year so far. But why is that? To understand the secret of German coaching, we need to go back in time to the city of Stuttgart in the late 80s. That's where a certain Ralf Rangnick was working at the time. Long before overseeing the expansion of Red Bull into world football and taking over as interim manager at Manchester United, Ralf Rangnick started his career as a youth coach in southern Germany. His approach was inspired by Valery Lobanovsky's Dynamo Kiev, which Rangnick had seen on a training camp in '83. The Ukrainians' pressing against the ball dominated to an extent Rangnick had never seen before. So he began adapting the ideas of Lobanovsky and later those of Milan's Arrigo Sacchi. The revolutionary core idea of defending against the ball rather than against the man was refined over the years in endless discussion between the German coaches. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine football without ball-oriented defending. But what stands out is the number of coaches that were influenced by the approach and went on to become successful in world football. Almost every club in Germany has benefited from the deep knowledge that is shared within a strong network of coaches. To some extent, that is the legacy of Ralf Rangnick. At Hoffenheim, he created Germany's first vertically integrated club. Youth development, tactics and transfer dealings were all aligned to serve a common purpose. He later repeated the trick, but on an even bigger scale. As head of global football for Red Bull, Rangnick built a network of clubs that offer clear career paths for players, but also for coaches. Prodigies would typically start at the youth level, before working as assistants and then head coaches. But the success of German coaches is by no means based solely on the theories of Ralf Rangnick. Just as important is how some of his apprentices have developed their own ideas. This brings us to one of the deciding moments that led to the Bundesliga becoming the place to be for aspiring coaches. In early 2001, aging defender Jürgen Klopp took over Mainz without having any coaching experience. Just over 3 years later, he secured the club's first ever place in the top flight by finishing third in Bundesliga 2. Despite having the smallest budget and smallest stadium in the league, Klopp and Mainz even qualified for the UEFA Cup in 2005. He later went on to win back-to-back titles with Dortmund before leading Liverpool to win the UEFA Champions League and Premier League. But back to Mainz. In 2009, Thomas Tuchel, who played under Rangnick at Ulm, was coach of the under-19s team at age 34. He managed the team to the club's first under-19s championship, playing a fast-paced combination football. When their manager, Christian Heidel, was looking for a new coach for the first team, he decided to give Tuchel a chance. After giving the job to the inexperienced Klopp 8 years earlier, hiring Tuchel was another controversial decision. People thought we were totally mad, Heidel later told The Athletic. Back then, being head coach in the first division was a closed club. You basically had to be an ex-footballer with at least 10 years of experience. The stories of Klopp and Tuchel at Mainz showed everyone that experience was overrated. You don't have to have been a professional player for years to become a successful coach. With good education, even young coaches can assert themselves in international comparison. This education is provided to coaches in official courses by the German Football Association. A football coaching license is a requirement for conducting training in professional German football. It is recognized by the state and carries the same significance as the UEFA Pro license. Germany has a long history of football education. The first training course to provide a football coaching license took place at the German Sport University in Cologne in 1947. It was initiated and led by Sepp Herberger, who would later coach the German national team to win the 1954 World Cup in Bern. Since then, thousands of licenses have been awarded to aspiring coaches. Because the courses are easily accessible and young talents are motivated to pursue a career in coaching after seeing the examples set by Tuchel and Klopp. Today, it is considered good business practice to hire a young coach for the second team or as assistant and develop him to take over the first team at some point. One man who contributed to this development is Hansi Flick. After being part of the World Cup winning coaching team in 2014, he made an impact as sporting director at the German Football Association. He then left his mark in club football by guiding Bayern to win the treble in 2020. Flick is part of an ambitious network of coaches that share their ideas and theories and are now omnipresent in world football, but especially in the Bundesliga. The success of Tuchel at Mainz changed the mindset of the whole league about what a head coach needs to bring to the table. The Bundesliga now has by far the youngest coaches in the top 5 leagues. A prime example of the new generation is Julian Nagelsmann. He became the youngest head coach ever in the Bundesliga when he took over Hoffenheim in 2016. 3 years later, he made the next step by joining RB Leipzig, where he was hired by Ralf Rangnick as his successor. But even before Rangnick, Thomas Tuchel had a lasting impact on the career of Nagelsmann. When playing for Augsburg under Tuchel in 2007, Nagelsmann was struggling with one injury after another. So Tuchel decided to use Nagelsmann's talent to read the game and sent him to scout the opposition. Nagelsmann produced an elaborate report that impressed Tuchel so much that he told him to give it a go and become a coach. And that's exactly what happened. Nagelsmann soon retired and took an official scout and coaching position at Augsburg. 12 years later, Tuchel and Nagelsmann met in the semi-final of the Champions League. One of them has won it and became FIFA Coach of the Year. It's a great example of how the German network of coaches and the mindset of sharing knowledge and developing each other was at work. This new generation of coaches doesn't fit the old stereotypes anymore. Talent and a will to constantly learn are now more important than name and age.
I'm trapped in a YouTube end card.
Did you like that? Click here to subscribe and join our Bundesliga community.
Done.